Hello everybody, Ben Rogers here, the Raptors Digest, reacting to the Toronto Raptors 115-109 win against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Ryker, the Toronto Raptors are streaking 8 straight games and continue. This game looked a little bit closer down the stretch than we maybe would have liked, but the Raptors nonetheless get the W against the Cavs.
Ben, 9 straight games now. So
9
straight. This was the 9th.
My goodness.
8 straight the road, which they are now 1 game back of their all-time road winning record. And it surprises me, actually. It's a good place to start. It surprises me that their max winning streak, road and at home, of all time, is only 11 games. I guess we're just spoiled with the Raptors being good over the past few seasons.
Wasn't it?
What's that?
Yeah. That was a couple seasons ago. 2016,
2016. Yeah, but I would have just assumed that they've had a bigger winning streak than 11 games, but apparently not.
Well, hey, let's break it this season because the Toronto Raptors, we brought up their schedule and they're handling teams. Obviously, since Marc Gasol came back, they've been playing really strong. Marc Gasol now down with not a severe injury, apparently it seems, so hopefully we get him back soon. We've had McCall return to the lineup tonight, but the team, even though it looked shady at times, Lowry, Ibaka really came out. Siakam was pretty solid as well and held down the fort for the Toronto Raptors.
Absolutely. It was Norm Powell that finished this game for us, although it doesn't reflect as much in the box score. But it was tonight seemingly Kyle Lowry and Serge Ibaka's game, especially with Marc Gasol out. I don't know what really the identity of the Cleveland Cavaliers is. Of course, you have 2 bigger guys, Kevin Love and Larry Nance Jr., so that could be maybe a bit of a difficult matchup. They maybe are a bit more physical than Pascal Siakam, but I just think the skill in every position is way better for the Toronto Raptors, especially a night after the Cleveland Cavaliers got absolutely pumped by the Pelicans. You think that the Raptors would be able to go out a lot more handily than they did, but still got the W and still had a couple of really solid performances this evening.
Yeah, certainly. Well, let's talk about Ibaka a bit. 26 points, 4 rebounds, 10 of 14 from the field, 3 of 6 from the three-point line. Hit a couple down the stretch that were really important when the Raptors we're struggling to get a bucket in the fourth quarter, and that's been an issue this season we've talked about, especially where we want Pascal Siakam to really take over. There was a weird block charge call that took away some of Siakam's points down the stretch, but nonetheless, Ibaka came through besides Norman Powell. We'll talk about him after. It's nice to see. I find, Ryker, remember when we used to watch Serge Ibaka, and especially last season, whenever he'd shoot a 3, especially earlier in the year, we'd be a little bit hesitant, hold your breath a little bit, but it would go down occasionally. Now when Serge Ibaka shoots the 3, I'm a bit more relaxed, and tonight, 3 of 6 from the three-point line, he hit a couple in the fourth. Have you been noticing that as of late, or is that just me? I find when Serge Ibaka shoots the 3 now, I'm a lot more confident than I was over the past couple seasons.
Ben, I haven't even thought about it, but you don't realize what you got till it's gone. If he started missing, then I would realize, wow, it's been a while since I've complained. You're right. I would swear that it would be so much profanity directed at Serge Ibaka's 3-point attempts last season, a season ago. You say, just go inside, shoot the mid-range game, right? The mid-range, it's almost non-existent in today's NBA, but that was Serge's bread and butter. But finally, you're right. We have confidence in him stepping out, stretching, and not only that, but critical shots in this game. You know, you're never probably afraid that you're going to lose against the Cavaliers. At least you shouldn't be as this Toronto Raptors team. And it was good to see Serge Ibaka and even guys like Kyle Lowry just giving it to him and having confidence in their teammate to hit these shots. And he did exactly that, Ben. It's good that you pointed that out. I can't even count how many podcasts last season that we complained about Serge Ibaka and the number of dumb shots that he was taking. And this season, they're not even dumb shots.
Yeah, they're great, even down the stretch. But you mentioned it, Kyle Lowry, 6-time All-Star Kyle Lowry. Shout out to him for getting the All-Star nod. We probably make a video on that whole topic itself. But 23 points, 5 assists, 5 rebounds, 4 steals. But you mentioned it, the way Kyle Lowry kind of just runs the offense in the sense someone's got the hot hand, he'll swing it to them or he'll make sure the ball is going in their direction. Tonight, as he always does, feed Serge Ibaka on a silver platter and let him rock out. And his backcourt mate, Fred VanVleet, struggled shooting the ball, but in terms of his floor game and what he did on the court, 12 assists for Fred VanVleet tonight, 8.7 rebounds. He was dishing out those passes as well. Our backcourt tonight really did a good job at just picking apart the Cleveland Cavaliers defense.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, they have a pretty good defense, pretty good athleticism as well with that double-headed dragon, those two young guards, Colin Sexton and Darius Garland, I believe. Darius is his first name. Can you confirm? Yeah. But so they're long, they're athletic. They did force a few turnovers when they were on defense, but for the most part, the ball movement was pretty good. And you're exactly right. Our two guys, our two facilitators, especially down the stretch, I was really impressed with the passing. Kyle Lowry, the one play in particular that I'm thinking of, he really waits for a high Serge Ibaka screen, right outside the perimeter, but a few feet back. And once he beats his man, he's looking for that pass to Norman Powell because he knows the defense is going to collapse a little bit. And you can make the same comment that you just made about Serge Ibaka with Norman Powell and his inconsistencies. And here we are, our number one guy, a guy that we would trust to close out a game in Kyle Lowry. He has the confidence in Norman Powell to give it to him in late game situations. So the court vision has been really good, Fred VanVleet and Kyle Lowry, but just the confidence in the team in general, and their willingness to pass it, especially late game, I was really impressed with.
Yeah, most definitely. And there's a few other guys in the court. Patrick McCaw made his return.
Face
4
mask.
points, 3 rebounds. Pardon?
Face mask Patrick McCaw.
Yeah. Patrick, what were your thoughts about McCaw's game tonight? His return,
looked like
playing
Batman
against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Yeah.
No, I love seeing Patrick McCaw back. In all honesty, he's one of my favorite guys on the team just because, obviously, with the memes, 3 seasons, 3 championships, but he's a worker. Yep. He tries so hard when he's out there, and it doesn't always work out for him, but you're going to get some good defense. I love him. I think he's a great guy.
Yeah, the Patrick McCaw has been getting a lot of hate, and obviously we've criticized him in games where he struggled, especially when he makes late game turnovers. And before he went down with injury, there was a couple poor games he's had. But I think the hate on McCaw has risen to a level that's a bit too high. I think he deserves to be a rotation player. Maybe not the same amount of minutes that Nurse loves to give him, but you mentioned he always plays solid defense. He likes to make the right play. It's nice to see him out in the lineup, give us a bit of bench depth on the wings. But another guy that's come out of the bench depth and played really well, Chris Boucher, 10 points, 4 rebounds, a nasty block tonight. I think especially with Marc Gasol and Rondae Hollis-Jefferson, them having injuries, Boucher's I think he's got to play more than 15 minutes, especially with the production he's given on the court.
Absolutely, and especially with these next few games. I mean, Pistons might be a challenging one for him because they have some bigger bodies, but Indiana Pacers, 2 games against them, Brooklyn Nets, 2 games against them. Maybe DeAndre Jordan could be a bit overpowering, but if you slip him into the 4 position or you have him playing against the matchup against Jared Allen, I could see that being a pretty fun matchup. It's a perfect opportunity. You have 2 bigs out, 2 rotation big men out, and just he was playing phenomenally back in that stretch when there were so many injuries for the Toronto Raptors. And when everybody came back, we sort of predicted it in our podcast when we talked about what would the lineups look like now when we have a full healthy squad. We sort of narrowed it down to say Boucher is the most likely person to get his minutes significantly reduced. But I think it's still a disservice to him because of how well he played. We both agree that he deserved his minutes when he got out there. So he should be getting at least some decent rotation. I 100% agree with you now moving forward.
Yeah, and he's played well in the minutes he's got. Tonight, 10 points, 4 rebounds, as I mentioned, and last game, I believe, at 8 in a short stretch of time. Even though his three-point shot, that's the thing, his three-point shot hasn't really been consistent, I've found, over the past month or so, but the way he kind of finishes around the rim and is a defensive presence, he's shocked us all, considering we looked at Boucher, especially last season, as a thin-framed guy, and maybe will he be able to play in the league? And he's silenced us with those questions. He silenced all the Boucher doubters out there, and he's shown that he can, maybe not against an Andre Drummond or someone like that, but against your average-sized centers, especially guards and wings coming in and driving in on him, he can be a protector of the rim. So I am in agreement with you. I'd like to see Boucher get a little bit more run so we don't have to overwork Serge Ibaka tonight. We had to give Ibaka the ball as much as he could. He dropped 26 points, but it's nice to see a couple starters before we swing into the segments. OG Anunoby had 9 points tonight, 3 rebounds, made a few nice passes, which was great to see. It looked like he was pretty aggressive, especially in the second half, just trying to drive on whoever was guarding him on the Cleveland Cavaliers. So it's nice to see him kind of play with that sort of more aggressive mentality. I'd like to see it on a more consistent basis, even throughout this game, as the Cavs, they have some quick guards, but they have no one on the wing that can keep with OG Anunoby and match his strength. So I'd like to see him maybe be a bit more aggressive, but 9 points is a solid game for OG. And our number one option right now, Pascal Siakam, 19 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 4 steals, a few turnovers. But again, when we're playing the Cleveland Cavaliers, this is a game where you'd like to see Siakam just go on a 12-0 run on his own and end this game in the third quarter when the Raptors are kind of stagnating on offense. But he didn't really do it. He had some nice plays tonight, but he's done it in games for stretches over this win streak. But I'd like to see a little bit more consistency, that alpha Pascal Siakam.
Yeah, but he was the only guy in their minds tonight. Like when he had the basketball, because they were playing a bit of a zone, so they'd have Pascal just posted up right in mid-key, and he'd get the ball, and there'd be 3-man collapse on him. And there's one thing, you can look at an offense where one player takes over, right? Like a LeBron on his last year at Cleveland Cavaliers, like he's going to be the guy. He's going to battle his way through a triple team, get the buckets. But I think the key to being a great player is, in a game like this, if the rest of your guys are rolling, if Kyle Lowry's doing well and Serge Ibaka's doing well, it's not the worst thing to get them those open shots rather than forcing it. But especially, when you're right, when it comes to playoffs, right, when it comes to those crucial wins, you got to get it done yourself. And that'll be the test for Pascal Siakam. But,
And that's the thing, because I agree that the Cavs defense was really focused on Siakam, but you got to demand the ball, because if you collapse, get 3 guys, not necessarily a triple team, but edge into the paint, get away from their men a little bit, right? If you can create that sort of offensive, position, right, where the defense is just focused on Siakam, locked in with the ball, Siakam's got to demand that ball and then swing it to a guy like Lowry, a guy like Serge Ibaka who's having a solid night, right? And I find when Pascal Siakam doesn't do his isolations and gets the ball in the wing and is being aggressive, he doesn't really demand the ball. He doesn't look to keep it and then create for other people, right? He just tends to be in the corner, maybe make a cut or so. But I wouldn't mind seeing Siakam have the ball a little bit more, especially where teams are going to be focused on him. And you can get the defense out of position if they look to triple team and double team him.
Yeah, I mean, that's player development too, right? Because season over season, we're looking him, now to be a cutter, right? To be a finisher, a slasher. Now we're looking for him to become more reliable with his jump shots and a better post-up player. Now this season, we're looking at him to be a better ball handler, right? And to develop a bit of a pull-up shot. But now we're sort of jumping ahead to say, okay, we've developed those things. We already, even though it's been so fast, we've already it's become the norm. And now we're saying, you need to also be a facilitator. So I agree with what you're saying, but that might be one more season out for him, right? He's getting 3 people on him. He maintains his dribble. He doesn't pick up the ball, and then he also has his head up and makes the right pass. I think he's taking steps in that direction, but I don't know. That might maybe I'm giving him too much slack, but I think that might be one season away, because now you're just talking about he's doing everything right.
Yeah. Well, we want that chip, Ryker. We want that chip, and Siakam's going to be a huge part of that, and as our number one option. But we're going to swing it into the spicy Pele of the day, because the guy that really closed it out for us tonight is getting it. Norman Powell went on a run of his own at the end of this game that really sealed the deal for the Toronto Raptors. Hit a corner 3, got a steal on the defensive end, and went down and threw down a nasty jam. He had 16 points, 5 rebounds. A lot of that came down in crunch time. Ryker, Siakam, obviously we have very high expectations for him, and he's been amazing this season. But Norman Powell, he's been exceeding the expectations, the highest of expectations people have had for him, and he's just coming in, even in games where it looks like he doesn't have it rolling, he comes in and somehow leaves his imprint, leaves his impact on the game, and we're getting wins because of it.
Absolutely, Ben. You hit the nail on the head. He is the most improved player on the Toronto Raptors team this season by a landslide. It's not even a competition because we've just become so used to inconsistent Norm or just straight up poor performance Norm. It is beyond our expectations that he's consistent, but also his performance is so elevated. He's just been consistently a good facet on this team. So it's pretty cool because you've been so high on Norm while I've been so critical of him.
I've lived on Norm Island.
You have lived on Norm Island alone, and you finally opened up the gates. You've opened it up for the public to join you, and they all are joining you.
Yeah, I love it. I love seeing Norman Powell, especially with the clutch shots he's hitting. So hopefully he continues it. I think it's safe to say he will after the sample size now about 2-3 months, even though there's some injuries in between. He's been doing it for the Toronto Raptors after a slow start to the year. So shout out Norman Powell, but not all plays can be the spicy Pele of the day, and some just make you say, oh, geez. And Riker, you want to take away with the OGs?
The OGs, we both agreed. We both confirmed. Kyle Lowry, he pushes the pace sometimes on an inbound. He'll run up. He loves the move where he creates that body contact. He leans against his defender, and then when he notices their hand go in for the reach, then he'll pull up, and it's like a fading floater, like what would you call it? Like a fading runner almost. That's a shot.
Yeah, a little runner.
Yeah, like a fading runner almost, because he'll contort his body. It's usually just exclusively for the purpose of drawing the foul, but this time, not only did he get it close to the rim, he made it. He cashed it, and you could see the smile on his face. I don't even think he expects those shots to go in. So that's by far the OGs of tonight.
Certainly. He hit a wild one a few games back. I forget against what team, but that was the thing going around the league. But Riker, to keep on the topic of Kyle Lowry, the infamous, the one, the only DeMarre Carroll Gold Star, and the DeMarre Carroll Gold Star is not going to Kyle Lowry, but it's going to NBA fans, NBA media, particularly the TNT crew, as none of them picked Lowry to be on the All-Star team. None of them had him selected on their pre-done-out selections. People weren't expecting Kyle Lowry to be an All-Star, and anyone that's watched the Toronto Raptors, watched him play the season, you knew he was going to be an All-Star, and the coaches obviously knew that, but he's gotten some flack for getting it this year, especially over Bradley Beal, who, in my opinion, was a deserving All-Star, but probably over someone else rather than Lowry. But there were some other names people were getting frustrated about. People thought D. Rose, who's having a solid year, but is on a very bad Pistons team record-wise. They're underperforming and not putting up the same sort of numbers. Yes, with less minutes, though, for D. Rose, but there's no competition for that. People are saying Andre Drummond, again, another Piston. I think Charles had 2 Pistons on that lineup saying they should make it over Lowry. There's Jason Tatum ended up making it, but I don't think there's a debate over him. I don't know. The Lowry slander has gotten too much for me and people talking about who will be on their All-Star team. So I'm just happy that he got the All-Star, and people that were doubting Lowry or were going against him, they got the DeMarre Carroll Gold Star for me, Riker.
Yeah, that's a good one. And he deserves it, but I doubted that the coaches would recognize that he deserved it, which is to me the more impressive thing, that the rest of the league sort of gives him the recognition that he deserves. And it would have made no sense to have 2 Pistons in when the Raptors, who have exceeded everyone's expectations, only get 1 All-Star, right? That would have never made sense. The argument for D. Rose, he is putting up the same numbers he was in his MVP season, I believe. And then Bradley Beal, he's always in the mix. But again, like the Toronto Raptors have done so well as a defending championship team that lost what everybody thought was the only good player on the team, and now here they are, second best record in the East and top 3 team in the entire NBA. So it's super deserving. But it's nice to see, like I said, that the coaches recognize that too. It's not just fan voting. Yep. It's the people that are actually watching every team, every player, they selected him, which is really special.
It's great to see. Shout out to Kyle Lowry. Hopefully Nick Nurse now gets the coaching nod for the All-Star game. We just got to keep winning. I don't know what the specific date is.
One more game.
Keep getting those W's. One more game. Yep. If we get the W, Nick Nurse will be coach. So shout out the Raptors for having such a great year. Shout out to you guys for making this far. Check out the Twitter, the Instagram, all that cool stuff. Riker, you have any last words on this Cleveland Cavaliers reaction podcast?
McCaw! He's back, man. That's it.